All right. I think I'm on time today. Wow, for a change. Been a while since I. Hey, 1 second. Mic is muted. What do you mean? No, no, no. Upload music. Done, done. Okay, four or whatever. All right. I don't. I think this is about it. I think it's too early in the morning for people to come and join, but that's okay. Um, Maybe this will be a good inspiration kind of weekly positive message to get the week straightened out. But maybe it might be something you can come back and listen to again if you're uh, interested in this topic. All right. Well, everybody has somebody in their life, maybe when they were growing up, or maybe now. Who knows? Who talked to you about trying to be a positive person, or hey, so and so, you're so negative sometimes. You always think the worst about everything, like you're waiting for some kind of catastrophe to happen. If well, if you're used to that kind of thing happening, you're always on the the zone, of caution. So and uh, if you never have negative thoughts, you know, then maybe you're too positive. The way, I'm not telling you if you never have negative thoughts, which I would find impossible. Um, you have to balance it out. So um, there's ways to that negative things, balances, um, maybe to keep us more positive. And if we get too positive, the negativity kind of evens us out. So, but if you're a positive thinking person and nothing negative ever happens to you, then you really don't have a chance to learn from mistakes or from circumstances. So, like I say, touching the fire. Don't touch the fire. It hurts, right? Um, well, you really don't believe that unless you get close enough to where you can feel the heat. And if you're actually dumb enough to stick your finger on there, and ow, then hey, don't touch that. It's hot. And then whoever told you not to touch it, I told you so. I told you so. So this is why I'm doing this weekly positive message. I heard someone. Um, I'm not remembering her name exactly, but she was a spiritually, uh, I guess, advanced compared, to most people, and I'm not really into listening to psychic people, and I mean I went through that, um, you know, after my dad had passed away, and I had lots of questions, and I kind of had some visions of things, and I didn't understand them, and I wanted somebody to explain them to me. And I've never really gotten the explanation. Um, not from someone else. I've gotten explanations from meditation and that, but they didn't seem good enough to me. But I deal with that, and I still believe that what I experience every day and in the past was an educational thing that I needed to learn. So, speaking of that, real quick before I go into um, positive and negative issues and things, to explain spirituality, and um, I did a brief uh, video, and I'll post it after I get done with this one, about childhood dreams. You know, um, I looked at, because I had questions like, why. I remember dreams when I was a kid, but they were always the ones where I was falling, and and I'm like, well, how come I never remembered other dreams? Just the ones where I was falling. So I searched Google and YouTube, and what does it mean when you have childhood dreams of falling? I could find tons of stuff about adults. You know, and as far as I know, I haven't really had any adult dreams of falling. Just when I was a kid. From the ages of probably 5 or so to 12, I had about 3 or 4 falling dreams, and I didn't know what they really meant. Why would you have those dreams as a kid? And because the explanation of an adult falling dream are totally different from what I was going through, and I never worried about finances or losing a spouse. I was fucking 5 years old. What do I care about that? So I did a video to explain it because I figured it out why kids have those dreams. So if you're interested in that, I'll post that video right after this one is over. Um, and yeah, so uh, I've always told people, as far as negative and positive go, negativity attracts negativity. So if you're always uh, thinking of your next step, you know, something bad's gonna happen. Something bad's gonna, you know, it always happens. Some bad things always happen to me. Nothing good ever comes out of this thing. You know, then you're bringing that way of thinking on yourself, and a doctor's gonna tell you, well, you need medication. You need a happy pill. Happiness doesn't make you positive or less negative. Um, Changing the way you look at negativity makes you positive. So, um, thinking of negative, you know, Debbie Downer, right? So, so I'm told, being a negative Nancy or whatever they call it, right, is a way for you to learn from that experience. So when something bad happens to you and you survive it, the positive thing is you survived it. Yeah. And hopefully, if it's something that you did yourself, you brought on yourself. If you're drunk driving and you get a ticket and you go to jail, it kind of something you did yourself. You know, well, if it wasn't for that cop, I would have got away with it, and those little kids too. Blah, blah, blah. Um, Thinking negative. Now if you're drunk driving and you're thinking, I'm going to get pulled over, I'm going to get pulled over, then whoop whoop, you do, and you you brought it on yourself. But if you're drunk driving, you're like, I'm not going to get pulled over. I never do. Well, there's going to be one day where you do. So eventually, you're going to mess up. I'm not saying because I have a DUI, but I mean there was probably at least at least 100 times where I shouldn't have been driving, and one where I know I shouldn't have because I was way too bad, and I'm surprised I didn't get pulled over, or I'm surprised I didn't hurt somebody or myself. I'm lucky, and so I think positive. I got away with it, and I was dumb, and I'm glad I didn't hurt somebody. So thinking about the negative stuff, mistakes you've made in a positive way, you know, and when something bad happens, you know, hopefully you learn from it. And I haven't I haven't drunk drive since, but even when I had my sight, I didn't drink and drive after I got in trouble for it because I didn't want to go through that again. And people would say, uh, don't drink and drive. You're gonna hurt somebody. I'm lucky I didn't. I'm lucky I didn't, and I'm happy I did. I'm glad I didn't because I don't know how I would have reacted had I hurt myself or someone else. I didn't that my negative action. Whatever I was going through at the time, why I acted that way, why you know, I'm glad that that way of thinking didn't affect someone else's life negative. You know, so by me telling you this in a YouTube video, hopefully it affects you positively. So my experience can maybe clarify it enough to where you don't have to experience that. You know, if you get bad off, and you don't ask for help, then you deserve the negative consequence. Okay, now, anyways, I'm done lecturing. Uh, so if you're positive all the time and nothing bad ever happens to you, then you're lucky, right? But then you you should be paranoid. I know I would be if I had lived my whole life and I touched the fire and or I touched the stove and it wasn't hot because it had been turned off. Then I'm like, yeah, the stove's not hot. I never get burned when I touch the stove. So either you have really good spiritual angels, you know, guardians or whatever, or you're just really lucky, or uh, you're not meant to experience that thing, that negative thing. So some people have to experience negative stuff to learn a lesson, a life lesson, or whatever their spiritual selves wanted to go through. You know, whether it was the family you're born in, or an ex girlfriend, or whatever, or boyfriend, or uh, someone you're friends with hurt you somehow. Hopefully not physically, but mentally or emotionally. We go through those things to expand our knowledge. To learn from those things. So we don't. If we know how something feels and it's not good, then the chances of us doing that to someone else is not not as not as likely because we know what it's like. Now, if somebody's not good to us, over and over and over, and we want revenge, well, we know, you know, this is our in our toolkit to make them feel bad. But you know what I found out is killing someone with kindness and forgiveness. If we're able to forgive people for the harms they do to us, then it's relieved from our conscious, and we can move on. But if we hold on to that, and I remember when I was such and such, and they did this and that to me, and I'm ooh, I'm gonna get that person, payback's a bitch, revenge, comes around, goes around. Yeah, it does. That's why you should forgive. Because someday you're going to do something negative to someone you didn't mean to do. And maybe they don't want to forgive you, right? Do unto others, such all of the biblicals uh, and Torahs and Qurans and everything. Forgiveness, right? If you can't give forgiveness, positive, right? You can't give positivity to something negative, then something negative can't be given positive. something negative can't have a positive thing for you, right? Karma, they want to call it karma. Uh, I don't believe in karma. I don't try not to anyway. And but not believing in it doesn't make it not real. Believing in something doesn't not believing or not believing in something doesn't make it not real. You know, I don't believe. It was. I don't believe in oxygen. Yeah, but if you didn't have it, you would. You sure hell believe in it when you can't breathe, or if you have an asthma attack, or if you're stuck in outer space and without a mask on, you're kind of screwed. I don't I don't believe in going to church. Okay, but have you experienced it? I don't believe in whatever friendship. Well, have you ever had one? I don't believe in getting married. Okay, why? Are you scared of it? I don't believe in whatever you don't believe in. Ask yourself why. Because not wanting to believe in something doesn't make it any less real, right? Not understanding something and not believing in something because you don't understand it, then that's a way for yourself, right, to get educated, right? And if you know every aspect of something and you still don't believe in it, then okay, then maybe you'll be the beneficial side of where you can explain, I don't believe in this because I know this, and this, and that doesn't make any sense because it's not real. Okay, it's make believe. It's a scam. Like what do they call that? The where you scam somebody out of something, and then if you scam that person, then you make them scam somebody else. You know, uh, that kind of thing. Maybe it's one of those things. But if you can prove it, you know, because you have knowledge of it, then maybe you're able to help other people not fall for that same scam, right? So that something positive can come out of it. So there has to be a balance in everybody of positive and negative, right? Good things happen to bad people, right? So hopefully they can understand how it feels when good things happen, and then they want to do good. That unless they're selfish, right? If I hit the lottery, I'm not going to want anybody else to hit the same lottery because I don't want to share my profits. You know. Well, what happens if that person, a bad person, right, wins the lottery, and then uh, they have to share it with everybody who played the lottery? Well, they break even. That's something positive, right? You get your money back or more. Then then you're like, okay, well maybe out of that bad experience they think, right, because they're a bad person, and they made some friends that were different. So if you're a negative person and you surround yourself with positive people, right? Maybe you'll learn how to become a little bit more of the gray area where you're balanced, But if you're a positive person and you surround yourself with negative people, then hopefully you lift them up and they're able to somehow balance you out. You're able to learn from others' mistakes, right? So when you tell somebody, hey, quit being so negative, well, just because they've had a hard time learning life experience. So instead of telling them to quit being so negative, why don't you help them find something positive about their negative experience, right? Be a good friend. Be a good whatever you are to that person. And if somebody's up on, high and mighty, and my stuff don't stink, and nothing bad ever happens to them, don't make something bad happen to them. No, explain to them if you care enough to explain. You know, the way you're acting. You know, if you ever wonder why you don't have very many friends, I had a friend. I had a friend in high school. they they were, spoiled. Their parents gave them everything they ever wanted, and their parents were kind of cool, but they were, I don't know, they didn't, I don't know, it seemed like they didn't teach um, discipline for actions, you know. So when their, you know, my friend, got older, they didn't believe that bad things were going to ever happen. They, went to college, did all these things, and they didn't think anything bad with it. Well, the first time they got struck down by something, because they did something wrong, and they didn't think it was wrong because they never had to think about doing things wrong. It broke them in half. So I'm not saying that they're my friend's parents were bad people. They weren't. They were overprotective and that kind of thing. But um, and I'm not saying that being a parent and being protective is a bad thing. But you have to allow bad things to happen so people, whether it's your child or your friend, they have people. That's how people learn, and hopefully people can learn by observing. You know, so if you hear a story about somebody who did something bad, right? Then oh, they got in trouble for that. Oh, okay. Well, I guess that was wrong. You know, breaking the rules. Well, sometimes you can bend rules without breaking them. Sometimes you can help a friend avoid doing something that's gonna negatively impact somebody else or you, even. All right. I don't know if I'm done here or not. My phone just vibrated. So, what I'm trying to say spiritually, if you're if you're looking for negative stuff all the time, you're gonna find it. But if you keep yourself balanced, you know, um, look, try to find light in the darkness. Try to find, darkness in the light. Always question everything. Be curious. Let your mind and your consciousness let it expand enough to where you feel comfortable. Feeling too bright, you might miss something, a learning experience. Staying too dark, you get lost, right? If we didn't have the sun, right? We wouldn't know what things look like, right? We'd all be blind, and it wouldn't just be me and a bunch of others. You know, you would never know what your face looks like, even if you were able to look in the mirror, right? Now, if there was no darkness, then looking at the sky at nighttime, you wouldn't see any stars. They would just be, you know, it would just be bright. And then maybe your eyes would get burnt out. So being too positive is a bad thing. It's negative, right? And being too negative, you know, being able to understand you're too negative, that's probably a better way to phrase it, is a positive thing. But knowing that you're kind of in a neutral area where you're not a bad and you're not good because you balance each thing out, makes your soul, your spirit, makes you spiritually happy because you're experiencing things that you wanted to experience, good things and the bad things. Not making bad things happen to yourself or to others. Don't do stuff on purpose to hurt yourself or others. But when they do happen, learn from them, and you know that kind of thing. And if you're doing something great, beware of the bad effects. right? Okay, I'm done rambling on because I could probably go on for another 20 minutes about this subject, but this was something I was inspired to lay out there. And I hope I did a good job. Um, so, my next video after I close this one down is going to be good. And it's not rambling, it's only like 12-minute video, I think. So, and yeah, namaste and stay neutral. All right. God bless. Bye bye. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.